This is the With All Due Respect podcast presented by Mo Knows with your girl, Lady Simone, Mr. McFly, and your main man, Mo. So now that we got that out the way, we'll go ahead and start the show. How y'all feeling today?
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Lady Simone, you over there
Feeling
meditating? Feeling good?
Feeling good.
All right, we got a guest
Yo.
to the table today.
It's your boy QEG, a.k.a. Mr. 19 Below Zero, coming in to step in with y'all guys tonight. How y'all doing today?
All right, my guy.
That was pretty all right. That was
He
pretty all right.
himself, like,
That was pretty all
I'm
right.
wait, like, you waiting for the introduction.
He wasn't ready for that either. He wasn't ready.
No, he wasn't
I was
ready.
not ready.
He was like, he didn't have any notes. How did he do it? How did he just...
Straight off the top of the head.
I don't think I was ready. I was like, oh, okay, then he introduced himself. That's all right.
That's all right.
Mid IG double tap, like, yeah, I got
Right
it.
there.
No, I done did this before. Like, I've done this before. It's just like...
Okay. We're going to talk about bullying today, man. I had a young lady come up to me at work the other day and said that she heard that I have a podcast. I said, well, you heard right. She said, have y'all touched on the topic of bullying? I said, we've been talking about it, but we haven't actually spoke on it yet. I said, why is that so close to you? Why do you feel that I need to talk about it? And keep in mind, this is an adult female, not a bad-looking female either. She said, because I've been bullied. I said, really, here? She was like, no, when I was a kid. And it still, it still affects me to this day. It plays into a part of almost insecurity when it comes down to it. So, all right. So, I said, all right. So, I'll talk to my team and we'll see what we can do about that. So, have any of y'all ever been bullied?
For myself, I haven't really experienced a lot of bullying. I was always been the type of kid that always tried to hang out with people that was getting bullied. For the simple fact that I never wanted somebody to feel alone. And, like, being that I was so young, my mother, like, when I was growing up, she worked in a daycare. So anybody, or any kid, rather, didn't have friends to go to. Like, I was always to, like, okay, go. So for myself, like, I really don't condone, I still don't condone bullying at all, but at the same time, it's just like I never been in a situation where I have been bullied. Because I'm a little bit more awkward, and I really don't care if somebody talk to me or not. And if you say, okay, I don't have on new or impressive type stuff, it really doesn't bother me because that's materialistic type stuff. So you really can't bully somebody that has great values and morals. And that's one of the things my mom always taught me.
A lot of people don't have that right there. You know how you said, I'm guessing your mom and your pops actually bestowed that in you at a young age. A lot of people don't have that. With me, personally, my kids, excuse me, I talk to them, if not every day, every other day about that. I actually tell them who they are so they can know who they are so they can't be told otherwise outside, which falls into self-confidence and whatnot. So, question for you, Q. If you actually witness someone being bullied, would you stand up for them? I mean, even if the size is a total, you know what I'm saying? You talking about heavyweight, light, featherweight.
Well, at some point, I don't think size matter. I think just being a good human being overtakes pretty much everything. Because, like, my daughter, she gets bullied because, she go to daycare, she goes to a new daycare, and she doesn't talk the way they talk. Mm-hmm. Mind you, like, her vernacular for a 5-year-old is a little impressive. So she might speak Spanish because we do it at home, and she doesn't really understand when she goes to her daycare why she's being picked at because she talk different. So it's a constant reminder, like, I always have to speak with her and talk to her about, like, okay, not everybody's going to like you. But, the people that don't like you kind of don't have to pay them as much attention as the people that really need you. Because your goal is to impress the people that really need you and not the people that don't. They'll always get lost in the shuffle and translation. So for myself, like, I can't say that I do know how that feels because I never really was bullied. Like, T.I. said a line, like, I've been popular since kindergarten. Like, that's almost like a true statement. But at the same time, like, I see it through my daughter, and that's one of the things that I try to correct with her. Like, she feels horrible about it and stuff like that. But now, like, you're here for a bigger purpose than you talk a certain way. You talk like you're 5 years old, baby. Like, the world will come around to you. Not everybody's gonna like you. And this is just a small example, but the ones that do, like, you got to speak with them. You got to speak to them, and you got to help them out more than you have to worry about the actual bullying.
McFly, you ever been bullied?
I have, but on a much smaller scale. Just again, my mother. Again, me being younger, I was more into grades and all of that. So as a child, just get good grades. Of course, the bad kids, the good grades, they don't look at it the same way. So, like, recess or something, they'll try to mess with me or something. But the fact that I was smart, I was always talk them out what they're about to do. They about to try to come at me and be like, yo, you heard that new Jay-Z song? Yeah, that was a good one. Like, yeah, true.
You outsmart them.
Yeah, and by the time they thought about bullying, guess what? Recess is over. I could do this again tomorrow.
Clever.
Exactly. So I just
Clever.
every time they tried to come at me, I would just talk something and they'll divert, talk about sports or music or something like that, and that was it. And one time, the same two, I was getting off the bus, about to go to my mother's school. I got off the bus. They looked at me, looked at them. I knew it was on. They had their bikes. I was on feet. Boom. I took off into the building, made it to the building. That was it.
You know, when my oldest son was about to start school, that was a concern of mine. And similar to Q's daughter, my son, he's a well-spoken kid. Well, actually, all my children are well-spoken. And I was concerned about that. And I remember I got on the phone with my pops, and I was like, he's going to... It was actually a situation where we was in the mall. And in the center of our mall, there's like a little play area. And my son was playing. This was before he had a little brother, I think. Or maybe his younger brother was just a baby, so he couldn't actually interact with him. And, kids are friendly. They're going to come up to you and want to talk. You want to play? Hey, you want to play? And there was two girls that came up to my son, but they were speaking totally different, similar to Q's daughter. They didn't identify with how my son was speaking. Well, excuse me, my son didn't identify how they were speaking, actually. And it was like, well, I'm not going to mock them, but nonetheless, they was asking him what's his name, and he was just looking at them. And it kind of threw him off. And this was before he started school. So at that point, I'm like, how's he going to maneuver through school? This is just two girls right here. Like, how you going to maneuver with a whole body of a class and just in general? So I remember I called my pops. I'm like, I'm real nervous about Malik starting school because, he's not like the typical kid. And he was like, don't worry about that. He'll figure that part out.
I think it's good.
No, it is, because what happened was it went back to that movie 50 Cent had, Before I Self-Destruct. Do you remember his younger brother wasn't like that? But then he figured out he did pretty much what you did. He outsmarted the bullies. And that's what Malik ended up doing.
And I think it comes along too when you talk about with Malik and everything, is what you pour into your kids too. So when you pour something into them, and you constantly are talking to them, because we constantly talk to the kids and let them know, who they are, let them know, things, what the right and the wrong things to do. I mean, right from wrong things to do. When you constantly are talking to them and pouring into them, it builds them up so when they do approach situations like that, they know how to handle it. But for me, it's been situations to where growing up, I have been bullied. So I know that feeling. And that's one thing that I try to pour into my kids when it comes down to that, to love themselves first before anything. And that's like very important to me. And I dealt with it in elementary school, all the way even throughout high school. But once I got to high school, I knew how to handle it. My parents poured into me, but still that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And I got bullied on the scale of my weight, and that was something that just carried on. And I loved, the person who I was at home, but that still doesn't take away. They can build you up all day long, but when you go in front of peers and they're telling you something different, it just kind of make you have that little bit of doubt, no matter how much you're built up. And that's something that I battled. And that's why I try to work hard with pouring into my kids, so when they do face situations like that, that little doubt can't even sneak in, because they love themselves so much to the point that they can't, like, whatever somebody say about them, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because as parents, we prepare our kids, but we don't prepare them, beyond, just the little things you think. Because some kids can be so,
There's only but so much you can do. And actually, I have my son right here, Malik, and I actually spoke to him before we started recording this, right? I said, son, would you be okay speaking about any experiences you may have had with bullying or you may have experienced? So I got Malik here. Malik, say what's going on. Just say hello, son. That's all.
What am I supposed to?
Just say hello, son.
Oh, hello.
Okay, Malik, have you ever been bullied in school?
No.
Have you ever witnessed someone being bullied?
Yes.
And how did it make that person feel that was being bullied?
It felt like he was sad. Like sad because people was talking about him, how he was talking and how his grade was.
Okay. How did that make you feel, though? Seeing someone bullied, what did that make you want to do? Honestly.
Nothing really.
You didn't want to go to his aid? You didn't want to try to help him or nothing of that nature? Why didn't you want to help him? You was concerned that the bully was going to start bullying you at that point?
You said he was bullied because he had bad grades? So you didn't feel concerned because you had good grades. Okay. Makes sense.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Appreciate it, sir.
But one thing that I want to bring up too, I was in the store and I was on one aisle. I was listening to I was actually trying to pick out something, and this guy was having a conversation with his son, and it was so interesting because this just happened like a day ago. And the guy was asking his son like, "Are you being bullied?" And they were looking at the classic cars, like how the build model cars and stuff. And he was like, because I don't like that. I was bullied growing up, and I don't want you to have to go through that. And they were just having this conversation on bullying. And one interesting thing that I've noticed and that I've realized from working with children is that when it comes down to bullying, it's not even necessarily a kid who have way more than another kid. And what I always try to tell my kids, and not only just my kids, because I work with after school kids and I work with a range of different kids, and I try to tell them, listen, it's not necessarily a kid who have more than you that's bullying you. I think there's hurt kids that are bullying. So like I always say, hurt people.
Absolutely.
And that goes along with kids as well, because I see kids who have a lot of issues at home and they don't know how to handle themselves or talk. They try to get people before they are attacked. So I see a lot of that going on.
So it's like their self-defense.
Yes.
So question again, how you guys are using the word bullying. Is bullying based off of like, again, not necessarily like she was saying, I have a lot, you have a little, or just like you have acne, I can just go on to you about acne, or you don't have a haircut, I can go on to you about a haircut, or you're short, I'm tall. Is it literally just, is it pure differences between people?
It's not so much a difference. See, you know what? In my day, what they consider bullying in my day was just cracking jokes.
Yeah.
But now it's considered bullying. So bullying is a very big word that everything falls under.
So based off of that, like you said, back then, should the definition change of bullying just because people look at it differently?
Absolutely.
I think a lot more.
Absolutely.
I think a lot more people are sensitive nowadays.
That's what it is, and that's why it should change.
So the word has to change because people feel differently about it now. But like you said, it was the same actions when you were younger,
right,
as it is now. But due to that, people now can't deal with it as much. It's now bullying's.
The way that we were brought up though is totally different than the way these kids are brought up. So you have to your perspective has to change at that point right there. We have a bigger situation right now. See, now I can crack. The reason why I'm able to crack jokes is because I wasn't quote unquote bullied. I was just cracked jokes on. So therefore my self-defense was me getting back at them in the same way. But nowadays it's not viewed the same way. It's considered bullying. So you cannot just overlook it because back in the day it was considered this way.
But I think
So
to add to that, just real quick, I would say bullying in my eyes is anything that hurts the other person. If this hurts your feeling, if this right here, even if it's physically or mentally, emotionally, and all that, I think that if you're going out to hurt someone, despite whatever, I think that's bullying. That's an act of bullying.
I get bullied every day of my life.
You get bullied?
That's the definition. I get bullied every day of my life now.
Well,
explain.
We consider it like cracking jokes though, like more or less, because I mean, like even now, like we would like growing up, we would crack jokes on each other, but it always be in fun and games. Now that same person nowadays in like today's situation, and also like circumstances change because like when we were growing up, there was like less school shootings. It was less like majority like mass things going on that's really happening. So like when we were doing it, it was just cracking jokes, and that's the type of thing we just did in our neighborhood. But now like kids are taking it so serious, and they quote unquote have all these health issues, which may or may not be true. You know, to fall back on like, okay, the first thing they run to is bullying. Oh, I don't like your shoes. Okay, I'm gonna
because you look at it though, if you got jokes cracked on you back in the day, you just ate that. But nowadays, you crack jokes on the wrong person, he may bring that joint to school, and he gonna shoot up the whole joint. So now you got to look at it differently.
So with that being said, would you now say the approach that you took back in the day if someone cracked? Again, I took the same approach.
Okay.
Or to get extra fly, Airbnb. So, with that being said, if somebody's actually cracking jokes on you, are you saying now the approach you shouldn't crack jokes back? Now you got to say, hey teacher, I'm being bullied. I'm not even about to go back and forth.
That
with
depends
jokes.
on the individual.
Yeah, it depends on if it hurts that individual too.
Me personally,
I'm asking you if again, like I said, you have kids. So in a given situation, right now, someone says, "Hey, pops, I'm being bullied." Now you say, "Yo, crack jokes back." Or you saying,
No.
You tell the teacher that he just said your shirt is small.
Okay, and I've had that conversation with my son. So what I do is like, okay, I ask my son. I said, "Son, have you ever been made fun of?" AKA bullying, I guess, to some extent.
No, hurt feelings. Feelings being hurt.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, son, Dad, I had one guy come up to me and say, what are those? Because he had on Crocs that day versus the person. Actually, it's not. Because you're looking at it as an adult, you can say that's funny because at this point, you can you can wear Crocs and someone say that, but then you can go buy some foams or some Louis.
Right.
At this point, we're talking about a 10-year-old who doesn't have that same, first of all, he doesn't have that mindset. Because no one wants to be embarrassed. I don't care who you are. No one wants to be embarrassed. So when he's asked that in the cafeteria amongst his peers and older, because he says it's a 5th grader and my son is in 4th, and you sit there and saying, what are those? I said, son, how did that make you feel? He said, Dad, it made me feel bad. I said, but you have Kyrie Irving's at home. You had Kevin Durant's. But he said, I know, Dad, but at that given point in time, I did not. They didn't recognize me for having that at that point in time. They looked at me as having some shoes with some holes in it, a.k.a. Crocs. So it made me feel embarrassed. Okay. I said, really, son? So at that point, I can't tell my son, well, go crack jokes. Because my son wasn't built or brung up under the same conditions that I have. Okay. That I was. So at that point right there, I just had the whole conversation when I said, well, son, you ever heard that saying? There was a man that complained that he didn't have any shoes until he met a man who didn't have any feet. And like Q told his daughter, it's a bigger purpose, son. It's a bigger purpose.
So how did you prepare him for the situation next time? Is he supposed to just take it on the chin now, or what?
No, what you do is you actually build that individual up. You build up I built him up. I didn't tell him go crack jokes. I build up his self-worth.
So you build him up to take it on the chin. So when it comes, it doesn't. If someone says, "What are those?" Again,
right there.
And I was like,
at that point, I told him insert a little bit of sarcasm. I was like, "They're shoes."
So with that being said, that sarcasm is now the same way to combat as
jokes. In a sense, it isn't. In a sense, you're asking. No, the gentleman asked him a question, and he's answering it. So it's not combating it. I'm just answering your question. So we're not cracking jokes. What are those? Shoes. So at that point, I'm taking the power away from you.
Sarcasm is not a form of being combative in that situation?
It's answering his question.
You multitask.
How it's being taken is sarcasm as an adult. The kid doesn't know what sarcasm is. So, actually, some adults don't know what sarcasm is unless they're sarcastic.
If only adults can understand the sarcasm, then why should he use sarcasm on a kid?
He did not. He answered the question. What are those? They're shoes.
Hypothetically, moving forward, though, if he's going to answer it with sarcasm, if the kid doesn't resonate with that, understand that as sarcasm, then it's just like...
He just answered the question, though. That's all he did was answer
the question. So this is something more for him, just to be like, hey...
No. Because this is my son. I know how my son is built, so I'm telling him, answer the question, son. So what you're doing, you're taking the power away from the individual. Because if you're sitting there all befuddled and look shocked in the face, oh, wow, I got you on the fence. So now let me throw another barrage of jokes at you. But if I'm sitting there taking away from you as in saying, they're shoes. Duh.
I think in both instances, both of you guys have valid points, but at the same time, like, my daughter is built a little bit different. Okay. Like, the first thing my daughter gonna do if somebody hit her with one of those, she's gonna crack jokes. Okay. And that's just because, like, I've cracked jokes with her all the time, and that's just one or two of the things.
See, now that's my other son. Now my other son will do that, or my other son might throw something at him.
Yeah, my daughter gonna go in, but at the same time, I get what you're saying about taking the power away. It's just ultimately like how I raised my daughter. Like, I really tried. She's like a little me. And so, yeah, we crack jokes back and forth, but at the same time, it's like when somebody, like, when it starts to be offensive, stop.
Right.
Like, you got to know your limits and boundaries with anything. And that's one of the things that I try to tell her, like, okay, if they hit you with one of those type jokes and you hit them back with something and that ultimately makes them not feel good, like, okay, like, let's not continue to go on. Like, let's end this right now.
Do you consider that remedy the situation, or I'm just postponing it?
Well, my little girl, she's unique. So, you know, she her little personality is way more outgoing than mine is. And that says a lot about her, but at the same time, it's just like, wow, like, she will hit them back with something smart. And, you know, she'll come talk to me about it. Daddy, did I do the right thing type thing? You know, sometimes I tell her, you know, you can't do that. Like, you went too low. Like, you can't do that. Like, I know why you went low, though, because that hurt you. Right. But at the same time, it's not a tit for tat type, like, world. Like, you gotta, it's
someone has to be the bigger person.
Every situation is different, like, and you gotta know that.
I think with that situation, though, whatever the...
As far as mine or Q's?
I'm talking about just in general, being bullied. In that situation, if a kid's being bullied, and he's trying to cause a scene with that kid that's being bullied has to get something that either resonates with that bully or the class to let him know that joke he's trying to crack, whatever he's trying to do, he didn't accomplish that. If he did...
We're talking about kids, though. We're talking about a 10-year-old and a What,
5-year-old.
5-year-old?
I'm speaking of general kids being bullied. So
Well, no, you know, at that point you got to set the standard. At that point, because you got high school kids that get bullied to the point where
I would hope they know how to handle it. At
No,
that age.
because
Nah, you had adults,
actually
yeah.
it's
I would
more
hope-
And you
bullying
look
going
at
on
it-
in high school. More because at
Yeah.
that point they start committing suicide
And-
because they have the avenues to actually research it. We're talking about my
Yeah.
son who watches wrestling.
If somebody knows how to research the suicide,
If I'm
you
not
think-
mistaken, I think it's a quarter. A quarter.
I would say
25%.
this too. I would say this. We can't be what's the word I'm looking for?
Naive.
We can't we can't be naive to the fact that there are even adults who battle different things. You know what I'm saying?
There
we
are
have
adults that
depression,
get bullied.
We have all this.
Evidently, I get
There's
bullied
people-
every day.
But no, but in all seriousness, you can't take that away from how they handle things. Because so many people handle things so many different ways. So now we go into where we have a high schooler that is getting bullied and they can handle it and they can take it on the chin. They can be like, I get bullied every day and I just, if that's what it's considered. But then you have somebody else who don't know how to handle the pressure, who looks at that their mindset is so different, and we can't take that away. It's the mindset of these kids that are battling these issues. And if we sit here and say, you know what, maybe they're a little too sensitive, or maybe this,
I think the gist of it is, though, people that if you're preparing your kids and telling them this is how I look at you, kids want to be liked by their peers. That's 100% a fact. Mommy, daddy can love them to death. If their friends don't love them, that's when they go commit suicide. Mommy and daddy still love the kid to commit, but their friends don't love them, or they don't get that energy back from their friends. Again, that's the energy there. So that's what I'm saying. If the bully is trying to do something, you have to take the power away from the bully. If he no longer has the power, the bully is gone at that point.
But some people don't know how to take the
That's the
power
whole
away. And I
point.
would say this, like I said, growing up, one thing that always sticked out to me was that when I was bullied, it was about my weight. No matter what mommy and daddy said, how I felt comfortable at home, how anybody could have told me that they loved me, how I looked at myself, it still hurts when when you're in a group, in a classroom full of people, or on a bus full of people, and then this person throws a joke at you. It hurts. It don't matter how much you're prepared.
By no means I'm saying it doesn't hurt. It hurts.
Okay,
but
but-
no, you can either put a Band-Aid or you go for surgery at that point.
But
at
still,
that point, you got to go ahead and knock the
No,
situation
honestly,
out.
at
No.
that point, it's like a fight, and you got caught off guard. The only thing you can't do is cover up.
And
That's
sometimes
the only
you
thing
don't
you're
know
trying
how
to
to
do is cover
react
up.
to
You got
that.
two reactions in a fight or flight. You got to pick one. If
But
you
then
flight-
what if you're in an
Everyone's
enclosed
not
room?
built
Yeah.
like
no,
that. That's the whole point.
no. Human body, yes, you're built with
You're-
fight or flight
You
instinct.
just said
Everybody is.
You just said you had a situation where you had two guys ran down on you. You took
Flight.
off.
That's my flight out.
So, okay,
That's my
but
flight.
everyone's not built like that's what I'm saying. Everyone's not built like that.
Everybody's built with two options. You can flight.
I disagree on that one.
No, you
I
can
disagree.
look that up. That's
but
facts.
no, but I
Fight or
think
flight.
no, because you get in a situation just like with me. I'm at the point where it's hit me like this, and I'm like, okay, what do
Matter
I
of
say?
fact-
I don't know how to
Matter of fact,
defend
example.
myself at
She's
that
on
point.
the bus. How she's gonna fight?
Yeah.
She's not built to fight. So
And
how's
that-
she gonna get away?
Where we said go into a little tunnel, just like no, like don't hit
No,
me. That's
no,
that's the flight. That's the flight format. You like I don't want that
Right. So you're gonna curl up.
curl up. That'd be
Right.
the flight.
What if she what if she just innocent though? Like she's
Yeah,
just,
just innocent. She
Just
just-
ride on the bus and somebody come on the bus and just started cracking jokes.
Everything.
And it's
okay, go
not fair to
for it.
her.
Go
Like
for it.
she's gonna crumble.
And it's either A or B. I'm saying those are the options. You're gonna fight or you're gonna flight.
Okay,
If you fight,
okay,
I
let's go-
understand.
let's go
You
on
might,
the
you, might, you might have to fight that another fight another
Let's
day.
go off the strength. There's only two options, right? Let's just go off the strength of that.
Go ahead.
There's only two options. So what's the answer for the person that flights? What's your solution for that? Because even if you fight, that doesn't mean because you can still get washed, and I'm still gonna crack jokes on you because I just washed you. Now I got more to
I
actually throw at
understand this.
you.
No, everybody wants the easy target. So if you were in an easy fight, then they may think twice about coming at you again the next time. But if you flight, that's like I got my joke off, whatever I wanted and landed. Now this is an easy target. So they may continue to go at that. So I'm not saying your fight will be successful or your flight will be successful, but I'm saying your natural instincts to do A
That right there
or
is
B.
bullying. That right there is bullying.
What is bullying?
Whenever you land your joke off, and then like the next time it's just an easy target. You're just doing it at that point for just because it's
Kicks
an easy
for
target.
kicks and
That-
giggles.
I agree. And
But
now
you
that
guys-
bully has an easy target.
But you have still yet the answer for the person that flights. Lady Simone's curled up in the corner of the bus. She can't go nowhere. She can't get off. She got a 15-minute ride from school to the bus stop. The cat on the back is sitting there shooting jokes. Everyone's laughing. And even if she had jokes, she doesn't have time to get them off because the whole bus is laughing at her. Even if she has something in the clip to let off. You can't get it off. So what does she do but sit there and take it? What's the solution?
Who's disagreeing with the option? I'm saying those are your two choices. sit there and take it.
No,
But,
when you
but
sit
okay,
there and
so,
take
but
it,
no, even with that, if you sit in, when the person sits there and take it, then that's when we get to a deeper issue of when we are at. We have people that go home and commit suicide. We have people that go home and cut. The cutting is serious. Depression is serious.
I'm not combating what happens afterwards. I'm just saying what the two options is. That's all I'm saying. I'm not agreeing with someone going home cutting their wrist because they got bullied because they decided not to fight. All I'm saying is those were the two options that comes to afterwards. You have to pick one or two. Obviously, I wouldn't like them to go home and cut themselves, but I'm pretty sure the person that fight that day, they might think a little bit less about going home and cut themselves.
Nah. Only thing I'm saying,
that's not a fair.
you know,
Fair what?
Fair to say. As far as the person what was it? Repeat what you said one more
You
time.
said it wasn't fair.
Repeat
So
what you said one more time so I can make sure I'm right.
What I'm stating is the person that actually fought that day, I would think that they would be less likely to go home to cut their wrist or something like that.
What if they got washed? What if they got their ass tore up?
The worst thing you can do is crack a joke and get beat up.
So then what?
So
The next option, then what? Go to YouTube. What I'm going to do? Oh, this is what so-and-so did to remedy his pain. So therefore, let me go that same route. I don't got to worry about being bullied tomorrow.
And social media is crazy.
Yeah,
No,
and
social
there's-
media plays a lot into it. Oh, yes.
yes.
Social media is a different animal. I agree with that.
Definitely. Like, you know what? I was in class today, and that's why I knew this was the right topic. You know, one of the things that I live by is there's no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation. And just with Lady Simone hearing what she heard in the story yesterday, and I think I actually shot it out to y'all in text earlier this week. The conversation came up in a workshop class I had this week right here. And
You wouldn't text me.
No, I know I didn't text you, Q. I know I didn't text you. But this dude's right here. But the conversation came up about bullying at my job, and we talk about grown adults getting bullied. And honestly, me, I can't fathom that. I just can't even fathom getting bullied. I'm sorry. I stand 6'5", 6'6". I just don't see it happening.
No, don't.
So, and then the thing was, I asked them, I said, so for those in here who don't get bullied, when you see someone getting bullied, what do you do? And before they answered, they said, well, Marion, what did you do? Mo, what do you do? And I was like, I'm definitely going to bat for them, and I'm okay with the circumstances. And I actually bestow that to my sons as well. Granted, they're 10 and 7, so they're having a hard time grasping the concept, but nonetheless, I'm still planting the seed. If you see something that's not right, you go stand up for it. But when you go stand up for it, make sure you're okay with what comes your way. If you see someone getting bullied and you stand in front of them like, look here, this is not the right thing. Understand, you may get hit in your eye, but understand you're standing up for something honorable, and also you're helping remedy the situation instead of allowing it to go
That's
on.
just morals, though. Like, is anybody that's getting thrown up under the bus on a constant basis, and you take up for them, like, and you take that heat for them, like, something always good gonna happen to you.
I mean, I do that for a total stranger. I actually caught the back end of someone getting. It was a guy that was cracking jokes on a girl, and I was listening to music at the time, but I really couldn't tell what was going on until she got up and left. And then I spoke to her. I was like, "Did you feel uncomfortable?" She was like, "Yeah, he went a little too far." So first thing in my mind, I got defensive. I was ready to go see the guy because this is a little girl. You're a whole grown man. But I told her, I said, you know what? It won't happen again under my watch. If I'm there, it won't happen again. I said, if it does happen, I'm not there, please come tell me. And then at that point right there, I'm not going to sit and tell him I'm going to go beat the guy up or nothing of that nature, but I will address the issue. So I feel that that's one of the things you definitely got to do. Speak up for those who don't have the voice at that point in time.
Yeah, saving people.
I'm okay with that.
You gotta understand though, like, so pretty much what you did just now, you gave her food, right? I prefer to teach someone how to fish. She's good while you there. She can eat. She's not gonna get bullied, whatever the case may be. But when Big Bad Mo's gone, then what? Then she has to fend for herself, right?
This is true.
So then at that
This
point,
is true.
so did you?
But how do you actually teach someone to fish? And from the example that you can teach someone to fish. Let's actually talk about the actual facts on the table. How do you teach someone that's an adult to stand up for themselves? The only thing you can do is tell them. You can put them in self-defense classes. You can send them little YouTube clips all day long. But it comes down from the inside. Everyone's not built like that. That's the whole
I'm not
point.
sitting there saying there's 2 steps to it, maybe 30 steps, but I can at least help you get to this first step.
And the first step is me standing up, and you see me standing up for you. I would like to think that's the first step at that point.
And I think sometimes you got to understand when you're in certain situations and say you see a situation somebody's getting bullied. Sometimes I think when you step into that situation, the person who's actually, especially when it's dealing with adults, even sometimes with kids, the person who's actually doing the bullying don't even realize what they're doing until somebody step in and say,
But you know
hey,
what's
this
crazy?
and this.
Homie knew. 'Cause I
Yeah, I mean, there's
caught
some-
the back end of it because he was like, I got her mad.
Yeah,
I was
there's
like,
some
so that's
instances
what
where
made
they
me go
knew.
ask her what was
But that's
going on.
the thing. Do people consider things being bullied? Like, again, and I don't think a lot of people consider the general broadcast or why people say this is what bullying is being is, and I don't think people look at that. People are like, yo, I'm just cracking jokes.
First
I'm
of
just
all,
going like, yo,
a
dirty
man shouldn't be going at a woman like that off top.
So a man can't. You gotta watch. A man can't crack jokes on a female.
I don't see that. I don't see where that's cool
I'm
at.
getting them
I'm
off.
not. No, I don't see where that's
getting them
a
off.
grown man. You talking about a
grown man and a
46-year-old
grown
man
female,
talking to a
getting-
20-year-old,
I'm
and you're
getting-
cracking jokes,
I'm-
getting off on cracking jokes. Nah, we're not gonna do that, homeboy. That's bullying. And
Cracking jokes
and
is bullying?
And when Mo is there, it's not gonna fly. Crack jokes on Mo.
And nothing wrong with that. You know, and that's what I do in situations.
Crack jokes
if
on
I,
what?
if I see a situation like that, I make myself the target.
Because I'm telling you, I can go all day. I promise you, I can go all day. You're not able to go to that.
So
point.
with that, the point, are you not bullying the bully?
No. I'm defending. I'm defending the victim at that point in
but
time.
also bullying
what
the
I'm
bully.
also doing is I'm putting a bigger target in front of you. Let's see if you're as confident as you are. I'm putting a bigger
So
target
then
in
you
front
can
of you.
see how confident they are. They're preying on their insecurities. So with
No.
that being said- no.
It's a check at that point. I'm gonna see how confident you are, and maybe you can shoot out the same one. But I'm telling you, I'm going to
bullying
shoot
the
out
bully
more.
at that point.
So I
I'm
got a
not
question.
bullying.
What if you like really get fried though?
Huh?
What if you like really fry you though?
But again, it's an
Like-
honorable thing because I'm saving this. That's like me jumping in front of a car for someone else. It's an honorable thing. I'm okay with that.
So you
And
cool with
everyone-
dying? Like
Again, it's an honor. I'm okay with that because everyone doesn't have that tact.
That's bullying, though.
So if you see a kid in the street, even an old lady, and they're not paying attention to a car, you're not gonna jump in front of them or try to save them.
whoa,
And
I got hand signs.
No,
But I mean, first of all, I'm not gonna know.
No, me. I'm gonna try to save that person because if I see it happen, I'm not gonna be able to sleep knowing that I could have somehow.
I think a
fixed
good
that.
thing that sums this up that goes along with this is you remember the video that came out with the guy when the kids were fighting in the street?
Oh
Yeah.
Was that
That's
Philly?
a
Was that
good-
Philly?
Philly.
Was that
That's
Philly?
a good-
But what did he do though? He sat there and gave them lessons. See these people recording? They ain't your friends. He was like, stop this, y'all dumb, and walked away. He sat there and told them y'all shouldn't be doing this long term. He fixed.
He actually went on Ellen, I think.
He helped the situation for them. He didn't necessarily just stop it. That's what I'm saying. In your situation, you're just stopping that complete act.
Right. Because right now I'm trying to remedy the situation. I'm gonna stop the situation right now. Now what he did, in fact, he stopped it right then and there. But who's to say, like, you know what? Old head stopped us last time. But guess what? He's not gonna be there next time.
That particular video who taught them kids a lesson there.
Yeah.
A lesson was learned. In your particular example, a lesson is not learned. Only thing that was learned really is, yo, Mo can get these jokes back off the old boy.
Only thing,
And hopefully it works out in his favor.
Learn at that point, at that time, I'm not going to mess with so and so while Mo's around. That's the first lesson that's going to happen, and then hopefully it transcends to something else, and he actually can be able to look himself and be like, you know what, that was corny. I shouldn't have been. Because I'm gonna talk. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna punch him
Mo
in his
should have
face.
a conversation with him and sit there.
And I will.
No,
and I will.
What you stated was
No. Afterwards, because you already got the stage set.
So you want to joke me, then talk to me? I'm not going to talk to you after you got these
You got
jokes
the
off.
stage set.
No,
Let's go.
only thing that's left is these hands.
You got this-
Especially if you got me.
And if it
only
comes, and
only
if it
thing
comes
left
down
is
to
these
that,
hands.
so be it. But the fact of the matter is, you got the stage set already. So let's go. Now, after the stage is set, all right, let's talk now. Because you're already ready to go. We can't sit and hold a conversation if you rah. Okay, let's get this off. Then we can talk.
You're not gonna bully me, then talk.
I have a question though. Like, okay,
So-
so what's the bigger issue? Like, and I'm not gonna say like which one is bigger, which one's smaller, but which one is the bigger issue between like bullying and discriminating? Like,
Evidently, it's one and the same. How's this being grouped? It's one and the same.
I would say it's one and the same.
I would disagree.
I would say it's one and the
how
same.
would why would you disagree?
If y'all telling me just the fact that somebody's different than me and I'm
Wow.
discriminating
Okay.
against them based upon that, or you could say making an observation, is that bullying as well?
Is it staying to yourself or you making it verbal?
I'm making an observation. Your shirt's small,
And you're verbally saying it?
out loud.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. What is that doing for you to say that my shirt is small? How is that going to benefit?
I'm
or
not
help
saying
you?
what that is not doing for me. What I'm saying is asking you a question.
I'm asking you, why would you say it out? Why would you say it out loud? Because at that point, I may take it offensively. What if this is my only shirt? and it's small. So now I'm gonna be offended. So now
I think
yes, that's
that
a form of
comes
bullying.
along the lines of too minding other people's business because the
What is that
small
gonna
shirt
do?
don't got nothing to do with
Okay.
nobody.
Maybe that's
So
a bad
why you
example.
even say
Okay.
it?
No, not at all.
Like-
Not at all. So what I'm saying again, my general question was not answered. You can go off of the example, try to eat that up.
Okay.
But is an observation bullying?
I answered it. Well, I'm sorry. I asked you another question. If it's
Thank you.
if it's verbally, yes, it can be. But if you're keeping it to yourself, no, because I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're thinking.
Your car's a 94 Honda Accord. You're bullying me now. You're bullying me with my 94
that's
Honda
different.
Accord.
I think when it comes out to hurt, just like if you like the whole thing when you look at it
And she actually set the
nowadays.
stage and said bullying is whenever someone, her opinion.
Her
and I agree.
My
and I
opinion,
agree.
when
someone's
you're
hurt,
going
when
out,
hurt
you
someone.
seeking to hurt somebody, like even talking about somebody, that's none of your business. It don't matter if I got a hole in my pants. Oh, you got a hole in your pants. Okay, are you wearing the
distressed
pants?
jeans? They hot. They lit.
No.
They lit.
It's the way
Everyone
you
won't
say
have
it. Just
that
like
everyone
it goes.
won't
No,
combat it the way that you just did that.
I think it goes back to
Personally,
it's not what you say, it's how you say
I
what you say.
think the whole
And it
bullying,
breaks it down to that.
the simple fact it should be what is your intent. It's not. It's just pure intent. If I'm sitting there cracking jokes with you, like yo, your shirt. Oh my God, stop that, McFly, you're bullying me. Or he just sitting there cracking jokes, ain't nothing serious, just playing around. It's
No,
nothing.
McFly,
Well, okay,
I
so,
think
okay,
you gotta
you know what?
understand.
Okay, let's break it down at this point.
I'm listening.
When it comes down to jokes, let's be realistic. You're trying to cut that person down, right? Right or wrong?
Depending
It
on
depends
depending
on-
on who it is. It depends on who it is.
Typically, when you're saying a joke,
We crack jokes all the time, but I'm not trying to break you down.
But
I'm
you're-
trying to put you on game.
no,
I'm trying to put you on game.
I think it depends on the environment and it depends on the individuals. When you're in a school setting and you have these kids that are attacking
You got
these
an
kids
audience.
for no reason, they don't know them, but I want to jump on you. It's dependent on the
So
environment.
it's the intent.
If
It's the
Mo
intent.
and Q are y'all going back and forth, y'all are friends. It's an environment. That's what y'all do.
At
You know what I'm
at
saying?
the midst of it, I'm still trying to get him though.
Yeah, but
I'm
still, but
trying to
not
get
in a
him.
hurtful way. Hopefully.
Maybe.
Literally, it's like you falling, like yo, you get up compared to me shooting you. Like you might mess you up a little
How
bit.
many times I FaceTime you be like, boy, you ugly? What if you don't? How
That's
you
bullying, Mo.
That's bullying.
That's bullying.
Exactly.
That's bullying.
No,
That's
no, no.
bullying.
I never knew that.
You're bullying
You said
me.
that to me.
You're a bullier. You're a bullier. You're a bullier.
You said that to me. So how you know I haven't dealt with insecurities about actually being ugly? Then
Well,
you just fed into it.
You just ugly then. Like I said.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm
It's
not gonna tell you
intent.
attractive because you bullied now. No,
But
like
it's
nonetheless, you don't know what someone battles with, and for you to sit there and magnifying that right there for no purpose
But
gain.
then, now, wait a minute. Let me
what are
say
you
this.
gaining off of
Let me
that?
say this though. Even just like if it comes in all true, y'all just going back and forth as friends, and then that is, I think it comes now. If you felt some type of way, then you should go to your friend and be like, okay, that hurt.
Tell
You know what I'm saying?
tell me
But
this.
my
though.
thing is, what I was saying when it comes to the bullying situation, when we deal with this in schools, these are kids who they don't click together. They don't even see, it's like you just randomly pick somebody and here we are going back and forth.
Yeah.
That's hurtful. You're hurting that individual for no reason.
In Mo and Q's situation just now, was Mo bullying? Yes or no?
No.
No, I'm not asking
And-
Mo.
and
Q
Mo-
said that to me. Mo didn't say that to Q. Q
Okay,
said it to me.
okay.
Why you gotta make that
Wait a
clear?
minute.
You have to make that clear.
Simple. If Q said that to Mo, what
Right.
Mo was saying,
To me,
is that bullying? Yes or
because
no?
of the environment and because of who they are, I don't look at it as bullying. But if Q
Bullying
hurt
has a
Mo's
lot of
feelings,
nuance to it.
no,
It actually
but listen,
does.
if
There's
Q-
nothing that's cut and dry.
There's so
nothing,
many different factors in
It's
this
cut-
because
nothing cut and
especially
dry.
when we're dealing with kids here. When we're dealing with kids and we have so much going on, it's so many different elements in
Absolutely.
this. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
nothing
But when
cut
you're
and
talking
dry.
about friends,
I agree.
because if I'm
I
talking with
agree.
my friend and she say something that hurt my friend, I'm like, yo, okay, kind of went too
That-
far. Now I'm
that's-
gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
That's what I'm saying. To say that bullying is whenever the other person's feelings is hurt, that's too wide of a net to actually cast.
It's just a
'cause it
wide.
has
It's a
nuance.
wide situation. It's
It
a
has
wide. It's a
nuance.
wide. It's a wide
Cast.
situation.
It's-
It
Well,
has a lot of nuance within it to say somebody's feelings is hurt. If I'm sitting cracking jokes with my friend, he might be like, "Yo, your shoes dirty." Damn, this is a little dirty. All right.
But then I
Like,
think
is
it
this-
comes down when it comes to the differences when we're talking about friends. Just like I said, it's the environment, it's the people. When we're
I'm
talking
gonna tell
about
you right
friends,
now,
it's
Q hurt my
different.
feelings.
Well,
I mean, that's just a malice intent, though, so
When we're
whatever.
talking about friends, it's different. But when we're talking about these kids who are not friends, and you just go out, seek out just to hurt somebody, you seek out just to say, "Oh, look at your little shoes. Oh, you don't got this type of shoes." You know what I'm saying? I get it all the time in childcare. Sometimes where they're like, "Oh, you got on this type of shoe or this right here," and I have to put a hold on it. Okay, what kind of shoe you got on? So what makes your shoe different than the next person's
Is
shoe?
that not bullying?
No, it's not bullying.
Does that make an observation?
No,
You're coming to the
you're
aid of the bullied.
No, I'm breaking it down for them because we're gonna explain the situation of why you feel you're better than this person, and then I'm gonna have to explain to you why your shoes ain't no different than the next person because you get from point A and B the same way as the next person get from point A and B. So one thing I think that it all breaks down to with these kids is we have to have communication.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to meet them where they're at. I can't come off a certain type of way and just like, oh, this right here and come. No, I'm going to have to break it down that way to let you know you not know better. And this is how we're going to handle it. And then I'm going to get you on the back end and be like, listen, this is not what we're going to do. So it's all, I think the bullying things, people don't have people to communicate. We're not having a conversation with our kids. Our kids don't have that person to go to talk to when they do. And I see it all the time. It's a simple conversation.
And see, when it really comes down to it, from I would say, and I say this respectfully to McFly, what you see it coming from us three, we have kids. And the last thing we want to do is come home to see our kids hurt. Because the first thing as parents, we want to actually go act.
I don't think it's a fair assessment.
I think it's a fair, because we're
so no one can have the same.
No, I said us. Where we're coming from, we're actually speaking from the essence of we have kids and what they're up against. We're adults. We can defend ourselves because
I'm an adult. I'm an adult as well.
Sound like Lady Simone's been bullied, as she said. I wasn't bullied, but jokes they hurt. So it got down to that point.
I talk about acne being fat as well, but I got so many. I guess I was bullied as well.
You was bullied.
I just didn't look at it. I still don't look at it as being bullied.
Your perspective was different. Did it hurt you? Did it hurt you when they
acne
said that?
joints?
No, period. When they made jokes, did it hurt you?
Yeah.
Oh, when you've been bullied, dude.
You just handled it a certain way.
I just handled it differently.
Back to the two approaches: fight and flight. Are we not back to full circle?
You know what you did? You're what's it called? Deflection. You're deflecting me. But nonetheless, you were bullied. Yes.
Fight and flight, baby.
First of all, you gotta look in the mirror and accept you've been bullied. Number one.
I feel like I wasn't bullied at all.
You're a victim.
I don't feel like it. Yo,
put your hands down.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you one of my friends, right? One of my friends used to call me Crater Face Kirsten.
Oh God.
Because of the acne joint, right?
God.
I ain't gonna lie, that was a good one too. It was a good
God.
It was good. Shout out to Shane. That was a good one, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that was a good one. Classic, right? And literally at the acne joint, I was like, all right, cool. So I just got kind of fly and I just cracked jokes back. And I didn't take anything in the heart once I could snap back. Now when I was just standing there defensively, I took a lot to heart. When I could go back and forth, like, you got me today, I got you yesterday.
I'll be honest
I didn't quite take it as in the sense of being
Even
bullied.
going back, it still hurts. Cause you're fueling that joke from a place. That joke that you're trying to shoot off is coming from a hurt place. So nonetheless, it still hurt.
I didn't look at it that way. Once again, I could shoot back. But answer this though: Can a bully be bullied?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I think it coming. I mean, everything that happens, like even with the bully getting bullied, yeah, that can happen. I mean, like eventually somebody gonna be bigger and better than you. Every dog has his day.
Oh yeah.
And then it always come like, even like if you look online now, like somebody is picking on somebody and then somebody comes out of nowhere and watch them. Like it's happening. So I mean, there's no way that you.
I agree 100%. I think anybody can be bullied. It's free smoke out there, 100%.
Oh yeah, and you know,
bullied.
this is
Free
very
smoke.
Free smoke.
This is very interesting to me because I had a conversation with an adult, and she's a school teacher, and one thing that she was just telling me was how she had it rough. You know what I'm saying? Because she was a first year teacher, and there were older teachers who you would think that these are the people that's supposed to lead you and to help you in certain situations. They were making her feel so bad, and she would go and cry. You know, you have people, and to some people, you're like, yo, how you a whole adult and you sitting in your classroom crying, and you know, this can't happen. But it happens every day. There are certain things that some people can say. Like, I know personally some people who can say some words that will make you feel like you just got punched in your face 100 times. And like those hurt. And I think what we have to get back
That's
to
years of bullying, by the way.
The essence of with the children, we have to start having communication with our children. We have
Daily.
to, and even the bullies. Like, I had an incident where a kid, and this kid went off, and I'm like, you know, my first thing is I want to stand up and be like, yo, I want to slap this kid and let you know I'm not the one to play with. But then I had to realize there's a reason this kid is acting this way. So there's a reason why this kid was going through something. So I had to take myself outside of that. I had to take out everything that was planted into me and how I raised my kids, because this is not how this kid was brought up. So now this is the opportunity for me to I let this kid calm down. Then I had a conversation.
But then
I still have to
also-
let this kid know, okay, what you did wasn't right, but I still love you. Now we're going to have to work towards making making better choices. Now, and I think this is what's missing with our kids.
That's your way of remedying the situation.
That's my way of-
So McFly, what's one of the ways that you would remedy the situation
Give me a particular situation.
of a kid being bullied?
Give me the exact situation. What's the
Okay.
current? Like Malik was stating earlier, if you're getting bullied because he had bad grades, nothing you can do to get good grades. Kind of study. If you can't study and achieve good grades, you can ask the teacher for help. If that's the case right there. You being bullied regarding grades, that should be eliminated.
But what if this kid doesn't know how to go about getting good grades as far as the studying? They don't have nobody. Let me tell you something.
They have a teacher.
There's a lot of kids that go home that don't have, and this blows my mind, that goes home and don't have food. That don't have, that parent to sit down to the table and help them. That don't have, so many luxuries. It's the little things that they don't have. So you're talking about kids who don't have so many of the things that we take for the little things, that we take for granted. And you expect them to come to somebody and say, okay, I need help with studying. You got kids who are in these higher grades that don't know how to read, okay? Let alone write. So they're not building up the confidence to go to somebody and say, you know what? Mr. Morrison, I need you to help me. Why? Because they don't want you to know they can't read. So what do? They lash out in a different way. How do you pull these kids in? These are the kids that are being the bullies. These are the kids that are getting bullied. You know what I'm saying? So we have to figure out a solution as adults to how we have to look at this thing. When you see somebody getting bullied, you gotta think a little deeper.
So in that situation, I give you the example what I would do. In that given situation, what would you do then?
When I see a kid that's doing the bullying or
regarding based off of the grades, the kid's being bullied because he's not bad
one
grades.
thing that I always
that
do,
thing say he's not possibly eating at home. It's the little things he's not eating. What would you do to help that kid out?
One thing that I always do, and I have to take myself out of every situation when I'm facing these children, is because I don't know what they're going to do. And what I try to do is I try to talk and communicate with them. It's not going to be an overnight fix. It's not going to be for a week or a couple of months or whatever. Sometimes it's going to take a long haul for these kids. But one thing I try to do is open myself up and be transparent to this kid to gain their trust. Once I got their trust, it's like an open pathway. Then we're going to talk about some stuff. Then I'm going to see why they're acting this way. And then piece by piece, I'm able to help this kid the best way I know how. If I don't know how, then I have resources lined up to where I can help this kid. But that's the whole thing of kind of getting to know these kids and then thinking like we can't always say, oh, they just bad.
Say for example, if you took that approach, right, and like, hey, are you eating at home? The guy's just like, you know what? Sometimes this 6 and this 9 confuses me. I'm not sure which is which. It may not be as complicated of a fix, or maybe a simple fix.
But then hold on,
It can go both ways on the spectrum.
Let me throw this in. When I was in college, I did my internship at a middle school, and like I coached, of course, 7th and 8th grade basketball players. And like one of my star basketball players in 8th grade, like some days he would have to miss practice because he would have to take care of his two little sisters. Mm-hmm. Mind you, he's just in the 8th grade, so he's already missing stuff that he's missing practice, something that he really enjoys. Mm-hmm. Okay, this same kid, like he's going days without washing. He's actually flipping his boxers inside out because he doesn't have like somebody to actually wash his clothes. Right. On top of having to wash his two little sisters, and on top of that, like he always told me he wanted to make it out, so his goal was he strived for straight A's. He got straight A's, so he was not a bad kid, but at the same time, like it's easy for one thing to trigger and set everything off for him to be the completely opposite.
Definitely.
So
I agree.
It's like one of those things too. Like, and one of the things I always did with my boys or whatever is like I tried to feed them. You know, because you feed a kid, like they might think it's small, but at the same time, they might not be getting this type of meal.
Right.
So you feed them, you kind of understand. Then you start sitting down. Then you start talking to them. Okay, what's the real problem? And it's bigger than this $2 meal that I just got you. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's the core issue? Okay, so who can I talk to for you, or who can I get to align better?
How would you remedy the situation when it comes down to bullying? Just bullying in general. We don't have to actually give an example. How would you remedy? What's your approach to remedying a bullying?
The first thing I do is try to talk to the kid. Like the little girl that was bullying my daughter. Like the first thing I want to do is talk with her. But you know, can't just walk up on a daycare and just talk to a kid.
Nah.
So what you do is you kind of make yourself a little bit more available. The daddy daughter donut thing, you know, me and Doran, we came and we tried to. Okay, is that the little girl? Okay, well we're gonna have we're gonna get you to the color together for a moment. You know, take a picture. You two take a picture together. That way, you know, okay, somebody else is in my daughter's life that she can see that. Okay, well maybe you're not this bad little girl that I'm trying to align myself with and pick on. Because now I know your dad, so I'm not gonna pick on you because I know if your dad comes, I really like him. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of different things.
That's a real good approach.
It's a lot of different things that you can do.
Yeah, and one thing I think we have to keep in mind when we're dealing with kids is that one thing I always think is cause and effect. You know, we look at a kid and we say, you know, this is a bad kid. We have to stop doing that because you got to look at there's a reason why this kid is acting out. There's a reason why this kid is doing this, that, and the third. And we have to take that into consideration when we are looking at these kids and we're thinking about these. And we have to, you know, at the end of the day, I have conversations with my kids. And I say not just mine's at home, and I call my kids even when I work in the daycare. And I've been doing it for so long, and there's times where we'll sit down on the carpet and we're just talking, and you'll be surprised. I ask them, how was your day? Okay, have anybody ever had something that went wrong today? Tell me if you had an instance of bullying, or tell me if you had an instance of this happening. Just kind of raising your hand, not even trying to make it like a personal thing between them. And these kids don't even have conversations like that. You know what I'm saying? That little round table, that little conversations that we're having, those are the things that are important to them. Those are the things that they're not getting, and those are the things that we really need to start doing with our kids. Those conversations, like in the car, don't turn on the radio. I sit there and I have to hear them talk from the time we got like a 20-25 minute ride. I hear them talk all the time.
Do you know that's the actual most important time for a kid, a parent and a kid, to actually hold conversation? Because what you're doing is you're setting the tone for their day. Versus you sitting there playing music on the way to school, have a conversation, because whatever they're feeling, that's how their whole day is going to go. So if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you didn't have your belt on, and whatever the case might be, they're going to have a sour day. And with them having a sour day, they're not going to be able to actually give their all when it comes down to their work. I actually read that in a book, and I was like, wow. He said no matter how long the ride is or how short the ride is, you actually hold conversation. No music, hold conversation, or deposit something. I have a conversation, but most of the time I'm acting silly with them. I want to make sure they go inside the school with a smile, or they feeling good, because I believe in positive energy.
Yeah,
that's what I believe, and that's.
I'm gonna tell you something. One thing that stick out to me, and this is so like I was just like, oh my goodness, it's a lady that I know, and I love her to death as a parent. I love her as an individual, and she has one child, and she has a little girl. Every day she takes a picture of this little girl. Every day. And every day she says, you are beautiful. And it's like a whole spiel she goes through. Ever since she was a baby.
Oh, wow.
Every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And that's similar to something that I do with my sons. I always ask them, I'll be like, Malik and Mason, they'll be like, yes, sir, don't be good. You're right, Daddy, be great. So therefore, I'm doing everything I can, even though they're up against a fighting force of X amount of kids out there, YouTube, TV, video game, all these different avenues that can definitely go against what mommy and daddy is saying. I'm going to do my part and hold these conversations.
A lot of kids nowadays, man, like and you see it, like they don't have conversations at all. Like a lot of kids people in general, like adults, don't ask them how their day were. They hand them an iPad.
You go to a restaurant. If you ever go to a restaurant and see a family, everyone's face is in their phone or their iPads. Yeah. We have the thing like, yo, keep your phone in the car, or whatever the case might be. We're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna sit down. It may be just cracking jokes or whatever the case might be. Half the time, I'm the center of the jokes. They're making jokes on me. It's like the whole family's against me. I'm okay with that.
So you're being bullied?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm being bullied by my whole family. But nonetheless, not to make light of the situation, because bullying is a very serious thing, but not to make light of the situation. But I feel just as well as Q said, Lady Simone said, and McFly spoke on, I actually believe that communication is the key to it. Number one, to act as far as, and we all have responsibility when it comes down to it as well. You can't look at, okay, well, my kid's not being bullied. Everyone has responsibility because right now it may not be your kid, but tomorrow it could be it. So with that being said, does anyone have any closing statements on this right here?
For me, closing, I would say I wrote this down. Greenville County schools do have a resource out there is the stopbullying.gov website. If any kid needs to kind of go and report anything, or if you have, as a parent, if you don't know the signs, you know what I'm saying? There's some parents that don't know what to look for and don't know, you know, why their kid is acting a certain way. And I'll say just in general, from working with kids and just having kids, is like, let's start talking to our kids, and we have to be that voice for our kids. I don't care. Sometimes we may think, oh, they're old enough to speak up for themselves, but sometimes that's not the case. As adults, we have to stand up for our kids. We have to communicate and talk to them and talk, you know, if there's a situation they can't handle, we can try to put the resources there, or we can even go do it ourselves. So I'll say for that, that's a good website. And then I want to shout out to, I think it's 98.1 have ad that they're running about bullying, and they're saying something about if you see something in the schools or anything of like that, they're telling you, you know, just report it. And I think that's real good, because kids need to hear that, because we know what we speak into our kids, that's kind of like what they do. So if you do it all the time and continuously do something, they'll pick up on it. So I'm just a big advocate of that. And another hotline you could call is 864-45-BULLY. And that's also with Greenville County Schools if you have anything dealing with bullying.
McFly.
My name is McFly, and I do not support bullying.
Mr. Q.
My name is Q. I don't support bullying either.
Myself, man, have a conversation with your kids, man. Find out what's going on with them. Be mindful of what they're watching. Be mindful of the company that they're keeping. And even for y'all adults as well that's out there that's victim of this right here. Take the power away, man. I mean, maybe the Martin approach, maybe the Malcolm approach. Nonetheless, we got to sit down and figure out a way to end this right here, remedy it somehow, some way. So, this is the With All Due Respect podcast presented by Mo Knows with your girl, Lady Simone, Mr. McFly, and your main man, Mo, and our special guest, Q.
Yo.
Y'all have yourselves a good day, all right? Till next time. Yeah.